Hi, this is Sandra Bowes of Last Minute Productions, here to talk about the Warner Brothers film Jezebel. Jezebel was a woman who did evil in the sight of God. In this film, this woman is played by Bette Davis. The woman's name is Julie Marston. She's a headstrong coquette in 1852 New Orleans who will do anything to get what she wants. Her psychological makeup drives this narrative forward. Her desires cause her to form goals which result in actions. Desires cause her to form goals which result in actions and start a chain of cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect, which moves the story along to the climax. This film is typical of classical Hollywood films because it has a series of cause and effect, which is brought about by the psychological makeup of the protagonist, Julie Marston. This is a hallmark of classical Hollywood filmmaking. So Julie's desire is to control those around her. We don't know why. We know that her parents are gone, they've died, and she has a guardian and an Aunt Belle who she lives with. That's all we know about her past, except she and Preston, her fiancé, have broken up and gotten back together several times. And she's caused many arguments and duels between men. She's a tempestuous woman. So her desire to control those around her makes her form a goal to control her fiancé, Preston, to get all of his love and attention. And she also doesn't want to be controlled by outdated Southern traditions, and she's constantly rebelling against those. The results of her desires translated into goals is actions. And these actions cause a chain of cause and effect that tell the story. The first cause that happens is that Preston will not come to her party. He's too busy. He is at a business meeting. The effect is it gets Julie very mad, and she decides that she's really going to push for him to come with her to choose her gown for the Olympus ball. Preston refuses. Julie marches into the bank where women are not allowed to go. Preston again refuses. Julie goes to the dressmaker, furious, and she chooses, rather than the white dress that all the other young women will be wearing, she chooses a harlot's red dress to wear to the ball. Preston goes to her home to try to cane her into submission, into becoming a submissive woman. Julie refuses. In fact, now she is even more adamant about wearing the red dress to the ball. Preston says that Julie will not go to the ball with him if she wears that red dress, and they'll sit at home and she'll work on her needlework. Julie asks her ex-beau, Cantrell, to take her to the ball. Cantrell, out of respect for Preston, refuses. Julie is now forced to manipulate Preston into taking her to the ball. She implies that he is chicken. He is afraid to defend her honor if she wears the red dress at the ball, thus inciting him. The two go to the ball. The red dress causes much consternation. They are rejected by all of those present. Everyone draws away from them, and Julie wants to leave. But Preston will not go now. He is angry at her, and she has to bear the consequence of her decisions and actions that have driven them this far into the story. At the end of that evening, the effect is that Julie loses Preston. He leaves her and leaves town. He leaves New Orleans and goes back north. Julie now becomes the epitome of a Southern homemaker. She's a recluse, waiting for Preston to come back to her, and she attends to household duties, attending to every detail in her house. When she hears that Preston is coming back, she believes it's for her. This causes her to have a huge party. They have now moved out of New Orleans, though, to her country mansion because of yellow fever, which is another major influence in the film. At this party, Preston arrives. He's married. The effect on Julie is to cause her to do anything to get him back, even breaking up his new marriage. She entices him, tries to talk him into... First, she apologizes to him for her wearing the red dress and almost begs him to come back to her. She's rejected. This causes her to go after him and to try and break up his marriage. He rejects her again. This causes her to go after Cantrell, to be her defender now and her sweetheart, which causes fighting and eventually a duel where Cantrell is killed. The result of all of this is that everyone draws away from Julie. She is now rejected by everyone in her life. All of her guests, her niece, her guardian quits. Everyone draws away from her. It's only yellow fever that forces them back into her life. But at this point in the film, Julie is accused of her Aunt Belle of being a Jezebel, a woman who did evil in God's sight. And this causes a change in Julie, evident in her actions. And now we see different cause and effect happening because her psychology has changed. Her inner being has changed. Julie now invites the guests who spurned her back into her home to enjoy her hospitality. When she hears that Preston has yellow fever in New Orleans, she goes through a swamp with one of their servants to go and care for him. She risks her life taking care of him. When Amy arrives, Preston's wife, Julie steps out of the way and allows Amy to attend to him because she is his wife. On the steps, Julie begs Amy to be able to go and take care of Preston on the Lepers Island where all of the people with yellow fever are being taken. Amy at first refuses, then asks Julie, "Who does Preston love?" And Julie answers truthfully. And she says, "Preston loves you. He loves his wife." With this, Amy decides to allow Julie to go with Preston on the cart to Lepers Island. And that's where we see her at the end of this film. So we see that this whole film is driven along by the psychological inner desires of Julie Marston. And the Jezebel is turned into a different woman. She's turned into a woman who is selfless and willing to give her life for the man that she loves. And this film, Jezebel, is a stellar example of psychological causation, which forms a classical Hollywood film. Thank you. This is Sandra Bowes for Last Minute Productions.